I hear tell you're doing well, good things have come to you. I wish I had your happiness. You had to do, I could 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 do. The drummer's doing a great job, and I forgot I brought my own drummer, and we asked him if he'd play this one. Jerry, it's Jerry. It was a dirty word 21 years ago. Jerry, but it's a joke.
Come on, do wackadoo. Roger
Jerry.
Miller.
That's what they used to call the Germans, which are our friends.
Jerry Allison.
What? Would it be all right?
Jerry jump aboard the drums.
That's kind of
And then we'll finish Do I Could Do. Isn't that? Yes, thank you.
All right.
Hope Skitch Henderson's watching this morning. He'll enjoy that. Red Eye? They tell me you're running free. Your days are never blue. I wish I had your good luck charm.
You gotta do wackadoo, 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 wackadoo.
I see you going down the street in your big Cadillac. Girls in the front, girls in the back, and away in the back.
You got money in a sack, both hands on the wheel and your shoulders right back.
This is the hot leg that everybody always enjoys. I hear tell you're doing well, good things have come to you. I wish I had your happiness and you had to do
Wackadoo, 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 wackadoo.
Thumbs don't play with me. I'm going down the street in a big Cadillac. You got girls in the front and got, don't make fun of me, right there in the back. You got money in the sack, hands on the wheel and your shoulders right back. We always do a highly informal show. Anyway. The higher we get, the more informal we are. I hear tell you're doing well, good things have come to you. I wish I had your good luck charm. You had to do wackadoo, 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 wackadoo. Hey! Hey!
You're listening to Demorats on the SHR Media Network. Caution, there will be mature themes explored and potentially adult language used. If conservatarian words, phrases, certain concepts, or rhetoric offends you, tune out now.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it on to our children in the bloodstream. The only way they can inherit the freedom we have known is if we fight for it, protect it, defend it, and then hand it to them with the well-taught lessons of how they in their lifetime must do the same. And if you and I don't do this, then you and I may well spend our sunset years telling our children and our children's children what it once was like in America when men were free.
Leftist lies and globalists, I'm pushing them back. From the saloon to the airwaves, I'm spitting it raw. Constitution's my compass, liberty's law. Big gods creeping, shadows on the land. Feds with the schemes trying to bind up my hands. But I'm the Sherpa, guiding through the storm. Red, white, and blue, yeah, freedom's reborn. They spin their tails, but I see through the haze. Media maggots, lost in the maze. I'm calling it out, no fear in my soul. This patriot's fire ain't losing control. Conservative Sherpa leading the fight. Torch in the dark, burning bright in the night. Stand for the truth, won't bow to the game. Sherpas, come and remember my name. Sherpas rising. Freedom's calling. Let this judge is twisted, trying to steal our rights, but I'm locked and loaded, got them in my sights. From J6 to the border, they're selling us out. I'm screaming from the mountain, hear my rebel shout. They mock the flag, but I'm holding it high. Stars and stripes forever under God's open sky. No globalist chains gonna cage this land. I'm the Sherpa with the truth in my hand. They push their agenda, but I'm breaking the mold. Their promise is empty. their hearts ice cold. Chicago's bleeding, borders torn apart. I'm fighting for the people with the warrior's heart. Conservative Sherpa leading the fight. Torch in the dark, burning bright in the night. Stand for the truth, won't bow to the game. Sherpas, come and remember my name. Sherpas rising. I've seen the storms, I've walked the line. 41 years, badge on the grind. Now I'm on the air, my voice like a blade, cutting through the lies that the traitors made. Hurricanes rage, but we're standing tall. Sheriffs of the Constitution answering the call. From the saloon to the heart of the fray, we're taking back America, no more delay. Conservative Sherpa leading the fight. Torch in the dark, burning bright in the night. Stand for the truth, won't bow to the game. Sherpas, come and remember my name. Sherpas rising and the static, hear my voice resound. Conservative Sherpa, freedom's battleground. Berserk, Bobcat, rolls will never kneel. For God and country, this fight is real.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to BZ's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show, a really ridiculous bonus special Saturday night weekend show. It's sure to garner at least 3 or 4 viewers previously unannounced because you can never find me on Saturday night. So I'm sure there will be less than tens of people pouring, swooping, swimming into the show tonight. And I'm ever so glad to see everybody here. Look, let me go back for this and see if I can show this originally. Unpleasant blind guy. He was first. Okay. All right. Geez. And then who did we have next? Phantom. Not all people hide in the shadows. And I am free. And also Jersey Joe is here tonight. So thanks to you guys. You're wacky, you're weird, you're strange, you're bizarre. I don't know what the hell you're doing here on a show where it is Saturday night. It is 8:06 p.m. Pacific. It is 10:06 Central, 11:06 in Eastern Time, and it's 1749.723. I think page 20 or 21 this time in Bolivian time, because I never could understand Bolivian time. Who am I? Who am I? What am I? Well, I happen to be this guy. I happen to be your conservative Sherpa. And what I am doing is I am guiding you through all the traps and the pitfalls and the deceit and the betrayal and the tyranny that is normally associated with people on the left. I'm your Sherpa. I'm here to guide you to see the infinite light, so to speak. What you're about to hear for the next hour and a half, maybe 2 hours, maybe even more, depending on how much material I have. There may be some overtime. I'm not exactly sure. Consists of my opinion and my opinions only. What am I doing? I'm doing the job that fundamentally the American media maggots won't do. I am fundamentally changing every leftist diaper. This is a great fucking intro. One leftist red diaper doper baby at a time. We don't water our drinks. Speaking of weed, okay, see this in here? This is potato water. I haven't had a drink of that yet. I just can't get my Mark 1 Model 1 mouth in gear yet. However, I just would like to, as a side note, mention that we are still serving stiff drinks right here in the saloon, along with facts, history, logic, rationality, proportion, clarity, context, and tradition. And we talk about it all. Everything. Politics, religion, crime, culture, economics, race, sex, science, law. Nothing. She is verboten right here. So thanks for being here. I have a couple of additional 2 comments. Phantom says she's weird. She's crazy. And Blind Guy gets a welcome. And she has green tea with her tonight. Well, this isn't tea. And it's not green. Actually, you know, if you really want to know, it's just water. Okay. There's nothing like it. It's just water. Do I have my things? Okay. By the way, certain personnel are over there in that corner. So let's see if they're going to work for me tonight. Please. And with an intro like that, who could fail? Who could even want to fail? Let's go for some music now.
Chelsea's mom has got it going on. Chelsea's mom has got it going on. Chelsea's mom has got it.
Sing it. Come on, sing it.
Chelsea's mom has got it going on. Chelsea, do you remember back in 93? 93. Your mom was quite the first lady. I think you'd agree. Think you'd agree. She rocked the bobs and the highlights. Yeah, we loved her hair. Loved her hair. She and Bill and the nation, what a wonderful pair. But now she's much more than the floaters that she used to be. The nation needs a champion. It's time for Hillary. Chelsea's mom has got it going on. She's all we want, and we've waited for so long. From sea to shining sea, she'll fight for liberty. She's sexy and she's...
Excuse me while I just kind of threw up in my throat a little bit right there. Give me a second to clear things. Okay. All right. I'm starting to feel better. Don?
Just so we're clear, whoever put their hands on my big balls made a huge mistake. Now we're going to take over Washington, D.C. We're calling it Operation Teabag. We're federalizing the swamp, and the executive order will be named the Big Balls Act. They'll never put their dirty hands on my big balls again. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.
Thank you so kindly for paying attention, or whatever it is that he says in his, here's a great, this is what I recommend, by the way, folks. This is 35 seconds of what would be the finest commercial ever for Gavin Newsom and California.
There's the American dream and the California dream. There's no Alabama dream.
No.
Eat your heart out, Texas, Tennessee, and Florida.
Yeah. Oh.
This is California. The world looks to us to see that it's possible to live, advance, and prosper together across every conceivable difference. It's what makes this state great, that we don't tolerate that diversity as we once had, but we truly can look today and talk in terms of how we celebrate that diversity.
Now, if that wouldn't make the world's greatest, like, I don't know, presidential bid commercial for Gavin Newsom, I'm not sure I understand exactly, Will. This is going to irritate a lot of people, okay? This is not funny. This is some serious shit, and I wish you people would pay damn attention.
Throwing things onto the court. Obviously, you guys know what the object is. And I just want to comment on, this has been going on for centuries. The sexualization of women.
Yeah.
This is the latest version of that. And it's not funny.
No.
And it should not be the butt of jokes on any radio shows.
No.
Or in print or any comments. The sexualization of women is what's used to hold women down. And this is no different. This is just its latest form. And we should write about it in that way. And these people that are doing this should be held accountable. And we're not the butt of the joke.
Okay, BZ should be held accountable for indicating that I'm taking this stuff extremely seriously, and I wish you would too. However, there is something serious that I would like to draw to everyone's attention, and it's sad, and I'll tell you why. Jim Lovell has passed away at the age of 97. And that is a very ripe age for Jim Lovell. Let me tell you who he was, if you don't happen to know. Jim was, let me see if, would you do what you could there? Merlin, thank you so kindly. Jim Lovell was the commander of Apollo 13. And as such, there were, let's see if I get this right. There are only 6 remaining astronauts alive now from the Apollo program. All of the Mercury astronauts have passed away. All the Gemini astronauts have passed away. And there are only 6 remaining in the entire planet. So if I could get Merlin to do this, please observe Jim Lovell was born in 1928. Can you imagine the things that he has seen from 1928 up to 2025 with himself taking part in the Apollo program? I find that absolutely staggering, absolutely amazing. So hats off to Jim Lovell, having lived a wonderful life, seen tons of things, unimaginable things, and having passed away today, I believe, at the age of 97. And if you also, this, I just received this information, this just in, along with the lines of Jim Lovell. I'd like to address 2 issues before we really get into the true meat and gristle of the show. I have this announcement right now. First, I want to let everybody know that rumors of Sean Lewis's untimely demise are truly exaggerated. His cessation of activity has been put off for at least 3 or 4 decades from now. Sean has, however, instead been placed on official assignment by the SHR Media Network, and this is what he's doing. He is investigating rumors of rampant and impetuous fungal activity in or near the town of Frog Dick, North Dakota. So Sean accepted this narcoleptic assignment with the sinuous frugality and clamorous exuberance for which he is customarily known. That's just this gentleman right here, wearing a BZ's Saloon hat and addressing one and all who loves you, baby. And he's customarily known as being a willing participant and actor in the things that SHR Media asks him to do. So Sean states he will return as soon as his per diem or gas card runs out, whichever comes first. And then also, this just in, with regard to the individual that I mentioned earlier, there is an update with regard to producer Merlin Queffel right here. This is the only photograph that he will allow me to display, who is here tonight. As I indicated, he's right over there at the desk. Merlin is right there. I don't know if you can see me pointing, but it's right over there in the corner. He is semi-pouting, but still has his curled and gnarled fingers poised over the mixer. What happened is this, and when it was finally explained to me, I was very, very happy. Disconsolate that he had to undergo what he did, but the deal is he caught a case of wet leprosy. But with the miracles of modern medical technology that is now behind him. So this just in, got through reading it. So welcome back, one and all, to Merlin Queffel. Thank you ever so kindly. And now we'd like to continue on. For those who would like to applaud at home, please go ahead and do so. Ken Clinton and I would have had so much fun with this in the podcast. I miss him more than I have words for. Boy, do I. That is so true. Admitting the obvious. Okay, she's admitting the Phantom. Wait. Did I just display and reveal something that I should not have? That the Phantom is a female? Maybe yes, maybe no. Not quite sure. But in any event, also, Unpleasant Blind Guy says he reads from Genesis as Apollo 8 orbited the moon in 1968. That is very true. And let's do this. Do I have time for that? Merlin over there? Do I have time? I think I do. So let's, Merlin, if you would, please set up the next bit here. So, folks, here we go.
Weapons Grade Stupid, the segment where anyone can play, but leftists are overqualified.
And what we have here is, this is how stupid crap is getting these days. As you can see from Red State, and I display this for all to see because it was written by Brad Slager. Brad Slager I had on the show about 3 or 4 weeks ago. He writes for Red State and Hot Air and any number of other places as well. And he was also a great guest on the show and has a number of shows on KLRN. Rick Robinson's KLRN, who I'm competing with right now because he has a live show, and maybe with luck in my heart and the wings soaring like eagles, maybe he will take kindly to me and replay this at a later date. This is how silly, stupid, and fattening things are. NBC News has discovered the newest hate crime. There is now an intolerant slur for robots. And what do you think it is? Clankers. Remember that term from Star Wars? Now we know that it's just so stupid. Leftists are not happy unless they're somewhere in sort of the deleterious hierarchy of losers and victims. They're nothing if they're not a loser. They're nothing if not a victim. Let's also have something that truly is weapons grade stupid. There's this. I was looking through a whole host of things maybe a day ago. And then I discovered this from Resume Templates. And first I read this, I thought, no, this cannot possibly be true. So this is either an article from, I don't know, The Onion or Babylon Bee or something like that. Welcome. Oh, hey, wait. Comic Artist is here. Great to see you here. But this is apparently a true story. This is weapons grade stupid. I'm going to read some stats to you. How just out of the ordinary, ridiculous is this? And then I would ask you, did you guys do any of this when you were searching for jobs? Nearly half of Gen Zers have mom regularly talk to their boss. Now, if I was employing a Gen Zer, and, you know, for whatever reason, if I decided they were going to stay in my employment with the company, first, that's not a given. And then number one, the first time a mom called me on behalf of their child, I would listen to whatever they had to say. And unless it was, you shot my child in the chest, the next call I got would be, there wouldn't be a call. I would not pick up, which is so bizarre. 831 Gen Zers were surveyed who work full-time to understand how involved their parents were in the most recent job search and their current roles. Now, these are the stats. These are nuts. 31% of Gen Zers had a parent write their resume. Apparently, they can't write. 77% brought a parent to an interview because apparently they can't speak. 53% had a parent speak with a hiring manager on their behalf. Apparently, they truly cannot speak. 45% regularly have a parent talk to their current manager. Hello? Yes, I'm Mrs. Blah, blah, the mother. Click. 73% have had their parents help complete their work assignments. 57% have brought have brought a parent to their current workplace. I'm sorry. That's just nuts. But sadly, it is weapons grade stupid. And it's illustrative of how we're coddling children these days. Now, I get it. I understand. Wuhan 19 killed a lot of ridiculous stuff and put a huge roadblock in the progression of kids in the United States in 2020. Then, of course, this shouldn't surprise anyone. From the New York Post, Trump critic Jasmine Crockett. This is what her employees are now telling people that she's like, which you also suspected. Also, generally, do you see a trend here? Something very similar to what people were saying of Kamala Harris and Hillary Clinton. Jasmine Crockett has positioned herself as an unfiltered critic of President Trump. The liberal loudmouth, who is this written by Stephen Nelson a couple of days ago, has rocketed to fame since taking office in January 2023. 3 sources who worked with Crockett say she's rarely present when TV cameras aren't rolling and terrorizes staff when she does, in fact, deign to show up as the diva she perceives herself to be. Crockett is not often found at her government-provided suite in the Longworth House office building, with one insider says she prefers to work from her nearby luxury apartment building, sometimes for weeks at a time. She's laying around her apartment, won't come into the office, and is really just indifferent to the staff and will scream at them. I'd say most deaf that falls into weapons grade stupid. There are also any number of news articles that are coming up here. Right now, Merlin is in the process of attempting to clear the baffles for the next story. And let me tell you, I will let you know when he is ready to go. And I believe he's ready to go.
I believe that this nation should commit itself to achieving the goal before this decade is out.
We're going to be talking about any number of news articles. And the reason for the show tonight is that I did a show last Thursday night with Alan Thomas about a little bit about Bible prophecy and Sasquatch, Bigfoot, etc. But I didn't get to politics. And, you know, politics kind of backed up in me like a bad cesspool, as I indicated in the promos. So hang on. We're going to stand by. Paul Harvey, go.
Stand by for news.
Here's a news source. This is from Mediaite, which is one of the most stupid names that I've ever heard for a website. However, this is important. Alarming new study finds smartphones ruining our brains at unprecedented speed. So anybody with a child, with a kid who is addicted to TikTok or Instagram is familiar with the concern that it's ruining their brain. But once people perceived as nothing but hyperbole has turned into science, and the results are rather staggering. In less than a decade, conscientiousness, that is to say, the trait most closely linked to responsibility, follow-through, and self-control, has collapsed among young adults. And now perhaps you begin to understand why it is that Gen Z is bringing their mommies and their daddies to work. And if work isn't kicking their mommies and their daddies out, they should. So it's not a gradual erosion. It's a plunge from respectability into the low 30th percentile. It's super sad. And here's a graphic that is worth looking at. Young adults' personalities are changing with conscientiousness in free fall. Now, conscientiousness, that's red. Look at the plummet. Neuroticism is going up. Agreeableness is plunging, and extroversion is plunging as well. That is to say, Gen Zers and people in that category are such that they're just not interacting with people very much anymore. And this was also buttressed by this in the Financial Times: a critical life skill is fading out, and especially fast among young adults. So let me ask folks here. I don't know what, this just popped into my brain. Do you open doors for people? I do. And especially I open doors for older people. When was the last time that you can discern that any kind of a younger person opened a door for you? I'll just throw that out there right now.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Mission log. Intrigue. I mean, let's face it, who's even counting anymore? The Lost Wanderer is officially off course, chasing rogue rocket launches, fringe science, and things that probably violate causality. If it burns fuel, bends time, or makes scientists very uncomfortable, yeah, I'm probably going to talk about it. Every other Sunday on KLRN Radio, The Lost Wanderer, because space doesn't come with a roadmap, and honestly, I wouldn't follow if it did.
Hello, I'm Matt, a student at Hillsdale College. Here is Hillsdale President Larry Arnn on the continuing relevance of the Constitution.
Many argue today that the Constitution is outdated because it addresses problems peculiar to the 18th century. Some parts of the Constitution do read rather quaintly. Consider the injunction against titles of nobility in Article 1, Section 9 of the Constitution. But is that so outdated? The purpose of the injunction is to prevent the government granting special privileges to some for partisan reasons. This strikes at the heart of the rule of law. The crony capitalism so common today is a place where the government bestows favors and tax dollars on some businesses to give them a leg up over others. This is exactly the kind of thing the Constitution was meant to prohibit. The Constitution is not so outdated after all.
This Constitution Minute was brought to you by Hillsdale College. To join the national conversation on the Constitution, go to constitutionminute.com.
Hey fellas, are you mission ready? You need to check out Mission Ready Men via Earl Big E Jackson on Tuesdays and Thursdays, 9 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Central, and noon Eastern. It's a show that equips you to navigate our society's challenges from a biblical perspective with courage and conviction. Tune into Mission Ready Men as we examine our culture through the prism of biblical truths, teachings, and how to apply them in our daily lives. Prepare to step up, stand out, and step into your role as a man as ordained by God. That's Mission Ready Men, hosted by Earl Jackson on the SHR Media Network. And get mission ready.
Want to make an immediate difference in the life of a critically ill child? You have the ability to do that right now. Make a donation to Dream Makers for Life, the organization that restores dreams to seriously ill children and their families. You can sponsor a dream pack for a child, which contains a clear PVC backpack, a dry erase board adventure coloring book, a journal, and dry erase markers to inspire a critically ill child to envision a future adventure and hope. Want to become a dream maker for life yourself? Go to dreamforlife.org. That's dreamforlife.org. Help a child. Help a family. There is always hope.
You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
And I'm back. I'm BZ. The first half hour has gone. If you missed the first half hour, you missed these incredible announcements that only the elite happened to hear because they were present during the first half hour. That left you out. You don't need to be left out. You don't want to be left out. You want to be an active participantianto in every show that BZ proffers from the bottom of his clotted little heart before he has his factory-issued heart attack. This just in. Now, we decided, Mrs. BZ and I decided that we were going to go and have and hit a new restaurant. Well, we tried to get in. We didn't have a excuse me, do you have a reservation? It was the microsecond it opened at 4 p.m. There was nobody else in the restaurant except maybe two more couples. Excuse me, do you have a No, I don't. Well, the next opening is flip, 7 p.m. It was 4 p.m. Bye. Wouldn't want to be ya, and I'm not going to see ya. So we went to another restaurant. Now, they had a couple of very interesting specials here. I had one of them. I'll leave it up to you as to which one I got. One was they had pigeon cacciatore. The other one was they had sauteed bat groin. And the other one was they had diced lark's tongues, parenthesis, as they indicated, previously masticated. So I will let you decide what it is that you think was the one that I decided. So everyone, it's a strange show. I got backed up on politics, and I found even more. See, what I do in this show is I don't make anything up here. I search the internet high and wide, like the American media maggots should, but don't. And they purposely and intentionally ignore a lot of things that I pluck from the micronosphere and bring back and show to you. So for me, being a conspiracy theorist or anything of that nature, no. I bring the receipts, I bring the articles, and I bring the video for everyone to see. And as I am frequently want to say, there's so much going on. How do you keep up? This show is my meager attempt to kind of try to keep up. One of the things I discovered was this. You don't think about this as frequently as you should, because a lot of idiots say, farmers? What do we need farmers for? I can get whatever the hell I want at the supermarket. They're in big trouble.
I'm sitting here on a tractor that I can't afford and on land that the bank owns. Pretty sure I pay more taxes than I actually make. We're just not making ends meet anymore. And it's all my fault. I failed my family, and I think they'll be better off without me. I've heard that story many times, especially across other segments, military, first responder, and just civilians. But something I became aware of is that farmers are struggling big time. Ever since the 1980s, farmer suicide has been a thing. I hadn't heard of it, but it's been a thing.
The opening statement of the suicide note was, "The farm killed me."
When we came home, the little one, Joe, was 5 years old. He said that Daddy was out in the barn, and he was out in the machine shed with the rifle. And that's how we found him when we come home from church.
Last year, more than 50,000 Americans took their own lives, the nation's highest yearly rate of suicide on record.
Ever since we went to big ag, right? Big contracts to like 3 or 4 different companies, farms have struggled. You know, you got to do it a certain way, and it is no longer a family farm. It is a big business. And the person that holds all the risk is the farmer. And
how'd you like to be a farmer? Or how'd you like to be a gun seller and try to comply with all the rules from the government? It's all rules and regulations from the government.
I just want to reach out because I feel like it's an underserved segment. You know, the Barbarian Foundation's done a lot with me and helping me get this awareness out. And I just want any farmer out there, anyone who's trying to make ends meet, trying to make it in this new world that is struggling, to reach out. If you could share this message and let them know that we're on their side and that there is help. Also, like, we need to change how we buy food. We need to buy local. You know, stop shopping at Walmart. It's not helping any of us. Go have the farmers market sell out to where they can't keep up with the demand, so that there's a reason for people to move into the country and start growing good, healthy, chemical-free food.
Right, because the America's urban rat cages are so inherently healthy and good for you themselves.
But until then, these big farms are going to keep gobbling up these smaller farms. Here's a video of a tractor guy who sells tractors, who's got 3 tractors right now because of farmer suicide.
3 tractors up here that I bought on auction. I'm not going to tell you which ones, but they came off of suicide. The reason that the farmers are no longer there, the reason I've got the tractors. There's also one that came from a freak accident that, you know, she even said it, that sometimes people question if the accidents are even really accidents.
Guys, if we don't secure our food system, there's not much future for any of us. Once they control the food, they control it all.
Shop local, do everything local if you possibly can. I have to be the first to admit, I wasn't aware that this is a thing, so to speak. Let me go back to comments and see, make sure that I catch up. Comic artist, my son trained to go into the Air Force while in high school. I got sick. He didn't go to take care of me. That was an amazing thing to do. And he says, that was 2020. Now he's a hard leftist and anti-military and lives on his phone. There are other Gen Zs around here trying to get him to get a life, but he refuses. He's not the same kid he was 5 years ago. And Unpleasant Blind Guy says, it's going on all over the West. Family farmers are under attack. So, like I say, I had no idea this was a thing. I knew with veterans, with law enforcement, doctors, I knew that was a thing from long ago. Buy local, go local if you can. I have never enjoyed Walmart. I don't step into Walmarts. I don't care for Walmarts. Maybe it's an elitist thing. I don't care for the people that happen to go there. If they're claiming Walmart is because that's where you can get the cheapest things. Okay, that's a conflict. But then if you go ahead and do that, you have to make sure that you're part and parcel of a contributing factor for the demise of the American farmer. I mean, that's a story into which I could devote another 2 or 3 shows. If I had any farmers to ask to come onto the show, because I don't know any. Most of us don't know any. If you're a farmer and you see this and you want to talk about your plight, please drop me a line. Let me know. bz@shrmedia.com. bz@shrmedia.com. I'd love to have you on the show. I'd love to talk to you. I'd like to find out what your life is like. Because obviously, I didn't know about this. And if I don't know about this, then my guess is so many hundreds of thousands of people don't know about this well. From Russiagate, this is all part of the news. From Russiagate, we've created an entire raft of industries and agencies whose job is to support the Russiagate hoax. Here's Mike Benz. Take it away, Mike.
Russiagate permanently changed the fabric of American society. They totally warped our universities. They all got tens of millions of dollars from the federal government to study the scourge of Russian interference and Russian hacking and Russian influence on social media. Our NGOs got tens of millions of dollars to go after this threat and build resilience and counter strategies and mitigation. We have entire government agencies that exist now because of this hoax. CISA at DHS, the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, was created because of the hoax idea that Russia had hacked the DNC election servers, when we now know that CrowdStrike, who the FBI relied on to make that determination, had no evidence that they did so. And yet we still have CISA getting hundreds of millions of dollars a year from taxpayers to take on a threat that never existed.
That's Mike Benz. And if you are not following Mike Benz through X, and by the way, this is me on X over here. I am at BZ's Saloon on X, at BZ's Saloon on X. If you're not following, let me tell you what it is. If you are on X, Mike Benz is at Mike Benz, BENZ Cyber, Cyber, at Mike Benz Cyber. This is also, I don't customarily like to read these things, but when they have information that I am predominantly unaware of, then I like to point these things out. Act Blue, money laundering with regard to Demorats. Demorats are pretending to buy $200,000 homes and creating $200 million mortgages and then laundering the money through wire transfers. This isn't uncommon. They're found all over the nation, run through Act Blue, which is leftist funded. Also by George Soros. There's a shock. Magic mortgages. Well, let's say you buy a house for $200,000 and it's funded by one of the North American banks. Let's just say Wells Fargo for the sake of argument. All the records, including the mortgage, the deed of trust, the Alter insurance policy, all those records are recorded in the county record. Then just a few minutes later, your $200,000 house suddenly has a $200 million magic mortgage that comes through. It's nothing but a wire that goes through the title company. There's no lender involved because it's a hard money loan, what they call a cash hard money loan. But because it goes through a title company, there's no notation of who the lender is, and it goes on through the system. Now, what's interesting about this is, and will be pointed out in just a couple of moments, is that these are Act Blue officers. They are corporate officers.
Tell me, magic mortgages. What in the world is this, Senator?
So we have this architecture that when you buy a house, generally it goes into escrow. You have a title company that handles the escrow, and there are a number of documents that go into it. So just at a broad scale, let's imagine you buy a house. Grant Stitchfield buys a house for $200,000 and it's funded by one of the North American banks. We'll just say Wells Fargo. Please don't sue me. All the records, including the mortgage, the deed of trust, the Alta insurance policy, all of those records are recorded in the county record. Then just a few minutes later, your $200,000 house suddenly has a $200 million magic mortgage that comes through. It's nothing but a wire that goes through the title company. There's no lender involved because it's a hard money loan, what they call a cash hard money loan. But because it goes through a title company, there's no notation of who the lender is. And it goes on through the system. Now, what's interesting.
So could it be anyone? Essentially, it's not documented.
Interesting is, and this is what caught our attention, these are Act Blue officers, corporate officers. Once we found one, it led to another and another and another and another. So we have them all over the nation. And this is just one small fragment of the human map. You leave this digital dust, if you will. This is one small fragment.
Okay, so let me stop here. You were around when I did all the USAID shows. You were around and listening to not just me, but SHR and KLRN and any number of other individuals when we were talking about NGOs, USAID, and the massive rampant fraud that was uncovered by Doge. And that hasn't stopped. But can you imagine what would have happened potentially had Donald John Trump, OMB, Orange Man Bad, the guy with the dead orange cat on his head, not stepped into the presidency? Can you imagine that Hillary Clinton won? We would not be cognizant of a fraction of the things that are going on. But little by little, I get it. We get aggro because things are not happening as quickly as we should. Phantom says now we had 595. Now we got 596 subscriptions to the SHR Media YouTube channel. Whoever just subscribed, thank you ever so kindly for doing that. But it continues. And a lot of people are saying, this is leading somewhere. Yes, of course it is. This is from Project Veritas. Former Attorney General Bill Barr, well, you thought for a while perhaps that he was legit, right? he held secret meetings to plot prosecutions of Trump and to try to block Trump's political career. A whistleblower currently under indictment. And this is just a few days ago. This isn't a story from last year or last month. A whistleblower currently under indictment by the U.S. Department of Justice and granted political asylum in an undisclosed foreign country has provided Project Veritas with an explosive evidence alleging secret meetings orchestrated by former U.S. Attorney General William Barr, media figure Armstrong Williams, and other prominent Washington, D.C. insiders to plan the prosecution of President Donald Trump, his allies, and January 6th defendants. The evidence is hot and hard, and it continues. But we all ask ourselves, and rightly so, when will something happen? Well, we envision ourselves like Sisyphus. And Sisyphus in the Greek myths was an incredibly strong pseudo-god who was tasked with pushing this huge rock up the hill and then watching it fall down the hill. And he was tasked to eternity for pushing this rock up a hill. So when anybody says that this is a Sisyphean phenomenon, you could apply that to all the things that are going on these days. But sooner or later, I believe we're going to get to the top of the peak. This is where 2026 comes massively into play. Because guaranteed, we are lucky. We hold the House and the Senate and the Oval Office temporarily. 2026 will be a large, massive indicator. And as far as I'm concerned, altogether, too many individuals on the conservative and Republican side. We have enough rhinos and underminers on the Republican side to contend with, much less the rest of everything else. But we seem to make a ridiculous assumption that in 2026, we're just going to kick the Demorats' ass. Really. What happens, our Senate lead and especially our House lead is slim. It is marginal. And yet, it wouldn't take that many seats, which is why when I come up to all of these other stories that are pending, you're going to see why illegal invaders and the census and redistricting have Demorats up in arms, absolutely shitting their pants. They're encountering PSH, which is pants shitting hysteria. Because if they lose with regard to the census, with regard to illegal invaders, and with regard to redistricting, which you'll discover pretty much redistricting, they've redistricted themselves almost out of business. But let's continue. This is what the Texas Demorats have done. I have a happy story about this when I get two happy stories. Kiwi Lass, also in the room. Great to see you. Unpleasant Blind Guy. My spider sense tells me there had better be arrests and incarcerations before the end of this year. And to which I reply, don't necessarily count on it. But I think what you say here is potentially quite true. If we don't, too many people are going to stay home. And as my 1967 civics professor, Mr. Harm, said, Democrats don't win elections, Republicans lose them. And that's very, very true. People are wishing hello to Kiwi Lass. This Texas Democrats, but they put themselves here, okay? Plead for donations to extend their walkout and block Trump's redistricting plan. They fled their entire state in order to block a legislative vote on a Republican redistricting plan. State House Democrats leader Gene Wu needed a means to project his voice and viewpoints to national audience. So he tapped his campaign account to buy a microphone for news conferences. Well, is that legal? Is it potential? Well, let's put it this way. Beto O'Rourke thought that he was going to get away with funding these people as well. That story is forthcoming. Plus, there's another story that I'm not sure you're aware of, and it's going to come with a video. And I'm pretty sure that I have that video next. Let me set the stage for you if I could. How many minutes do I have? I got 6 minutes. I think I can do this in 6 minutes before the break. So, these people, listen to the names, please. Senator John Thune, Republican. Speaker Mike Johnson, Republican. This has not been in the media. Why not? I believe you'll understand later when I kind of summarize this and then we go on to the video. So Thune and Johnson are holding what are called pro forma sessions to block Trump from making recess appointments. You heard that right. Pro forma sessions, what they are, they happen to be like these brief kind of ceremonial sessions. They last no more than about 2 minutes or so. They're held in empty chambers for the sole purpose of making sure that President Donald Trump does not make any recess appointments. Well, we'll go into that in just a minute. And I have a graph that I will display to you about recess appointments. And then after this, when I go through this, you'll say, I don't get it. I don't get it. Why are we our worst enemies? Why is that? So what happens is that by holding these roughly 2 or 3 minute long sessions, both the House and the Senate are technically in session, which avoids the constitutional threshold of a 10-day adjournment. So you can make recessional appointments when Congress is not in session. But if you slip a few things in for just a few minutes at a time, well, magically it is in session. Well, the Constitution grants the president the power to make recess appointments when Congress isn't in session for an extended period. And that allows the temporary filling of a bunch of vacancies. And yes, there are a bunch of vacancies to be filled by President Trump, but altogether too many people, including Republicans, are not interested in having those appointments made. And that bypasses the Senate's advice and consent process. Oh, that's terrible, BZ, to bypass that. Hold that thought. I'll show you. So there's a backlog of about 140 Trump nominees that are waiting for Senate confirmation. And so Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer has said that he'd sign off on those. He'd sign off on those readily if you just cough up a couple of $1 billion for us. No problem. That's not an extortion. That's just, politics as normal. So Trump said, go to hell. Or words to that effect, Senator. And the senator said, okay, well, we're going on vacation. And even though they haven't passed many of Trump's agenda items, like the SAVE Act, so then Senate Majority Leader John Thune decided that he was not going to give Trump any opportunity and decided for pro forma sessions, these little mini sessions that put Congress and the Senate in session so that you can't make recession appointments. The same decision was made in the House under Speaker Mike Johnson, both sides of Congress. So Tom Tillis, Susan Collins, and Lisa Murkowski all heavily opposed allowing Trump to make recess appointments because they're so bad. Nobody does that. Only tyrannists and fascists happen to make those recession and recess appointments, right? So Representative Thomas Massie, with whom I disagree on any number of times, says the sessions are, and I truly believe this to be true, he says, quote, it's solely to block President Trump from staffing his administration. And so Massie is saying leadership is undermining a president from their own party. And that is correct. Absolutely correct. Senator Ron Johnson said, yeah, we need recess appointments, and that the system is broken. Who are these people? They are traitors. They are rhinos. They are underminers. So I say, okay, let's put this up. Let's look at some facts before we go to a break. How about presidents with recess appointments? I'm going to read this because the lettering is very small. And besides, if you're listening in podcast, you want to hear the names and the stats. Presidents with recess appointments: Trump, 0. Barack Obama, 32. Bill Clinton, 139. Ronald Reagan, 243. Harry S. Truman, 195. Dwight David Eisenhower, 193. George Bush, 171. Bill Clinton, 139. Franklin or FDR, 89. George H.W. Bush, 77. Jimmy Carter, 68. John F. Kennedy, 53. Richard Nixon, 41. Okay. But for whatever reason, it's horrible. It's despicable. It's traitorous for President Trump to do the same thing. You know, that amongst a number of other things is why I, for the most part, I despise invertebrate and spineless Republicans.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
In a world where leftists are running out of metal for the safety pins of their soothing red diapers, one man stands alone, attempting to fundamentally change America, one leftist diaper at a time. BZ, your conservative Sherpa, is guiding you through the maelstrom of Democrat leftists and globalist lies, chaos, deceit, and betrayal. Listen to BZ Saloon on select and exclusive Tuesday and Thursday nights at 8 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Central, and 11 p.m. Eastern on the SHR Media YouTube channel, Twitch, KLRN, Rumble, and X at BZ Saloon. It's one great late-night conservatarian talk radio show. Be there. Aloha.
Hello, friends. Do you have a moment so that we may discuss our Lord and Savior Minarchy? No, seriously, I'm just kidding. Hi, my name's Rick Robinson. I am the general manager of KLRNradio.com. We are probably the largest independent podcast network that you've never heard of. We have a little bit of everything, and by that, what I mean to tell you is we have news, pop culture, special events, conspiratainment, true crime, mental health shows, drama productions, and pretty much everything in between. So if you're looking for a new podcast home to grab a little bit of everything that you love all in one place, come check us out. You can find us on X under @KLRNradio. You can find us on our Rumble and our YouTube channels under the same names. You can also find us at KLRNradio.com and pretty much every podcast catcher known to man. So again, feel free to come check us out anytime you like at KLRN Radio.
It's Sean from the Edge of Liberty. Just like the Bidens, I too am moving. Only in my case, it's days and times. That's right, you can now find the Edge of Liberty Monday at 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 Eastern, and Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific and 11 Eastern on the SHR Media Network. Join me as we talk politics, news, alcohol, fun, not so much fun, clowns, small kittens, large kittens, dogs, amoebas, and anything else that just pops into my mind while I'm on the air. That is Monday and Wednesday, 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 on the East Coast, on YouTube, X, KLRN Radio, Facebook, Twitch, and anywhere else a good podcast is found. Please check out our website, shrmedia.com. I will see you live on the air.
Attention, all patriotic women of faith. Yep, I'm talking to you, sis. Are you looking for high-quality, super soft apparel that reflects your love for country and your devotion to God? Look no further than Carry Girl Gear. Picture this. You rocking a tee so soft it's like being hugged by a cloud, all while showing off your love for God and country. Sounds dreamy, right? Well, welcome to reality, babes, because that's what we're all about here at Carry Girl Gear. We specialize in super soft tees, tanks, and more, designed specifically for the strong, patriotic women who proudly wants to carry their message of faith and freedom. When you shop with us, you're not just getting a t-shirt. You're joining a community of like-minded women who are proud to wear their beliefs straight on their tees. So whether you're sipping sweet tea on the porch or leading the charge for faith and freedom, do it in a Carry Girl tee. Because life's too short for stiff, boring tees. CarryGirl.com, where faith and freedom meets fashion.
Independence. With that declaration, America was born. Inspired by a belief in the God-given rights of every human being, and in the good that comes from exercising these rights well. The founders of our great nation chose independence. As do we. Hillsdale College accepts no government funding because independence makes possible the good to which we aspire.
You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
And I'm back. It's essentially the end of the first hour. It is 9:05 p.m. and it is August the 9th, the year of our Lord 2025. I'm BZ, and you're in the saloon. That means it's 11:05 Central and midnight 05 Eastern, and some kind of weird time in Bolivia, which I can't go into right now. One of the things that I did when I looked, I tried to find out some of the other names, because Jim Lovell, astronaut in a number of the Apollo programs, passed away today at the age of 97. An amazing individual. And then I said, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, that there were at least 6 more astronauts. There are only 6 remaining in just the Apollo program. You know, all the astronauts, all the big 7, the initial 7, they're all passed away in Mercury. Gemini, all the astronauts have passed away in there. And so I discovered who is remaining as of August, as of the passing of Jim Lovell. These astronauts are still alive. David Scott, who was on Apollo 9 and 15. Russell Schweickart in Apollo 9. Fred Hayes in Apollo 13. Charles Duke in Apollo 16. And Harrison Schmitt. The other thing is, he was in Apollo 17. The other thing that I find just astounding is from Apollo 11, Buzz Aldrin is still here. Buzz Aldrin is still around. Absolutely amazing and astounding. Now, I showed you about recess appointments. I spoke about that. And now I said, I believe I had indicators. I had a video to play for you showing that pro forma sessions are undergoing. They are in session right now, and that keeps recess appointments from being made. Well, here's a video, and it's showing in the House and the Senate, they convened briefly yesterday in empty chambers solely just to block Donald Trump from making recess appointments.
The House will be in order. The chair lays before the House a communication from the Speaker.
The Speaker's Rooms, Washington, D.C., August 8th, 2025. I hereby appoint the Honorable Mike Kelly to act as Speaker pro tempore on this day. Signed, Mike Johnson, Speaker of the House of Representatives.
Okay, stop it. That's a message from Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House. He's a Republican. He insisted that message go out. That message is immaterial. It is specious. It is ridiculous. It is unnecessary. Yet, for whatever reason, he's decided that he, amongst all the others here, are betraying President Trump and making an active insertion to keep him from making recess appointments. What was the purpose in that? Just that, to keep Donald John Trump from making recess appointments. Because as you can see right here, right? The Senate hasn't gone away. The House hasn't gone away. Congress is in session.
The prayer will be offered. Thank you, Reverend. Pursuant to Clause 13 of Rule 1, the Journal of the Last Day's Proceedings is approved. No do the Pledge of Allegiance. Okay. Pursuant to Clause 13 of Rule 1, the House...
Stop. This is just to keep Trump from making recess appointments. Period. End of statement. The Demorats, of course, are absolutely enthralled with this. They think this is a wonderful, wonderful thing. Key Willas says, yeah, wow. How does that happen? How do we keep this country? How do we keep it? And this ridiculosity, how do we keep it in check? The hypocrisy is like UBG, Dave Milner. It's impressive. It's criminal. It's almost as annoying as the timidity of the right. Absolutely true. Cosmic Bard, evening. Welcome to you, sir. And that is the Lost Wanderer, who we advertised his show at the top of the hour, or the bottom of the hour, first half hour, indicating that all who wander are not lost. So welcome to Cosmic Bard and from Cosmic Artist. This isn't stopping. We have the Demorats to worry about, but we have our own people stabbing us in the back. They'll smile to Trump in the front, pull out the stiletto, and stab him between the ribs and in the kidneys to make sure that he doesn't get to do what it is that he was elected to do. He has a mandate from the people. He won the popular vote. He won the electoral vote. And even Republicans, I lack the words. I must say, I lack the words. Here's another story. Party of crazies. Dems comply with outrageous redistricting stunts due to primary threats. A state representative says, wait a minute. What the hell is meant by this? Have you heard about this? Many of the Texas Democrats who fled the Lone Star State to Democrat stronghold states like Illinois, and I'll show you a great graphic about that a little bit later, or New York, where Governor Hochul rules in diktat. They fled amidst a Republican redistricting effort. They're complying with the political stunt out of fear of being primaried. Have you heard this? By somebody even crazier within the party. And that statement was made by Texas State Representative Briscoe Cain. If they were to come back, they would lose in a primary to someone even more socialistic than they are, he said. So, yeah, they're actually out there. They're present way out of Texas, out of fear. Not out of fear of the Republican legislation, but out of fear of their own people. And so they will continue to sit out of state at their own detriment, all because of the fear of being primaried by someone even more to the left than they are. This is insanity. This is politics. This is 2025. This is what we're getting. Now, I spoke to you about the census, and I found somebody who is called on X Cynical Publius. And I wanted to make sure that you were aware of this. And again, this will be twice tonight that I have gone over somewhat lengthy X posts about this current situation. And he's fairly even keeled about just everything. And he wrote this, and I'm reading it so that the people who are listening in podcast and not watching can hear what's going on. So President Trump intends to rework the census numbers to eliminate illegal aliens from counting for representation in the House of Representatives and the Electoral College. Democrats are screeching that this is unconstitutional. Now, whenever I hear that, my first step is to go and see exactly what it is that the Constitution says. And here it is from Article 1, Section 2 of the Constitution. Representatives and direct taxes shall be apportioned among the several states which may be included within this union according to the respective numbers, which shall be determined by adding to the whole number of free persons, including those bound to service for a term of years, and excluding Indians not taxed, 3/5 of all other persons. Hold that thought. We'll get to that. That should send a little bell and klaxon going through your head right now. The actual enumeration shall be made within 3 years after the first meeting of the Congress of the United States, and within every subsequent term of 10 years, in such manner as they shall by law direct. Now, Publius writes, I'm not going to debate the constitutionality of Trump's proposal in this post. Instead, what I want to do is highlight something that caught my eye. This part, 3/5 of all other persons. That refers to the infamous 3/5 compromise. The southern states wanted slaves to count. Listen carefully, please, I ask. The southern states wanted slaves to fully count in the census for representation purposes, and the free states did not want them to count at all. So as a compromise, slaves were counted as 3/5 of a person. This gave more representation to slave states than they would have had slaves not been counted. When the Constitution was approved, we did not have political parties as we understand them today. However, those slave states were the backbone of the Demorat Party that was founded in 1828. My point, he asks. In 1788, when the Constitution was adopted, the proto-democrats of the day wanted to count their powerless black slaves for purposes of political representation and power. Are you beginning to get a glimmer of an understanding what's going on? In 2025, Demorats want to count their powerless indentured servants, illegal aliens, sub-minimum wage Latino gardeners, maids, and nannies for purposes of political representation of representation and power. Nothing ever changes. Least of all, the deep evil that has always resided in the heart of the Demorat Party. They were using black slaves to their benefit. And now they're using illegal invaders to their benefit. And now I'm sure you see the similarity. And then this comes along. Life is nothing if not circular. Is it? Have we seen this serial before? Have we seen this on the world stage before? Global epidemic alarm as China virus spreads to new country in record-shattering outbreak. So, did I not say this would happen? There's another story, if I get to it, about Nova Scotia, which is remarkably similar. But did I not say this would happen? If the government, for example, locks you down for Wuhan 19 or any subsequent virus that it itself deems to be, it's so critical, they will go out of their way to create the exigent circumstances in order to lock you down or repress or steal your rights for any other topic or matter. And so here we have this. So it's being pushed, it's coming, and it's being pushed by, if not China, any other countries. As my law professor used to say, you will see this material again, and it all comes around and goes around. And then it should be no shock. But the question that you're going to have to ask yourself, are you going to go through that again? Moreover, are you going to let your children go through that again? Moreover, are you going to let your grandparents go through that again? Moreover, are you going to allow your business to be shuttered like it was? And moreover, are you going to allow your lives and your economies to be slashed and ruined along with your country, and the suicides to triple or quadruple? Are you going to stand by this next time and allow that to happen? As I transition over to another story about AI, people have said, well, they kind of like AI or they kind of don't like AI. This is from Gnosis Wolf. Honestly, he says the only way to stop this might be to mass refusal to interact with the patrons and the businesses that eliminate human jobs to one degree or another. But how do you pull that off? And where do you draw the line? So what will be in the process of happening is humans are going to be eliminated. Now, last week, I delineated some of the jobs that were potentially going to be affected. And so people are potentially, I personally believe they're going to be shoved onto the governmental breadline, and they're going to want the government will want their perpetual reliance on their benevolence and free shit from all those political fucktards. So here's a graph. Estimated number of human workers expected to be replaced by humanoid robots. 2030, 40K. 2035, about 1 million. 2040, 8.4 million. 2045, 38.5 million. 2050, 62.7 million. AI and me are not so bueno. We are not working together lovingly. Now, here's the other thing that I wanted to put up, and I'll preface it with this. If governments lock you down for Wuhan 19 or that other China virus that I just mentioned, they're going to create emergency circumstances in order to lock you down or remove your freedoms so that they can step in and have you under their sway. Now, in this story, Nova Scotia in Canada bans hiking and use of vehicles in the woods as dry conditions raise wildfire fears. Well, first questions you should be asking are, wildfire fears, how did they get there? Well, that's because the government hasn't done its job in terms of forest management. True in Canada, completely true in California, always spell it with a K, and all throughout the United States of America. Piss poor forest management. Leftists got in the way, and they wouldn't let us do our forest management jobs. So what do you know about Nova Scotia? Nova Scotia is nothing but woods and forests. Well, who lives in there? Well, yeah, lots of animals. Who else? People. The Nova Scotia government is banning hiking, camping, fishing, and use of vehicles such as ATV in the woods due to an elevated fire risk. Who does that affect? That affects the people that happen to be there in the woods. Now, this is such a sufficiently specious and non-specific utterance and edict so as not to be able to understand what are the true ramifications of this. But the Nova Scotia government in Canada, it couldn't quite care less. So they're going to go out of their way to create those emergency conditions so that, well, we created the problem and now you're trying to fix the problem. And now we're going to have to repress you because we didn't address the problem initially, and now you must be held down. What part of that makes sense? Very little. What do I have? I got about 8 more minutes. Sometimes good things come around. I guess I could have placed this into happy stories, and boy, do I have a lot of happy stories. With luck, I'll be able to get to the bulk of them after the break. I got a lot. Phantom, I am back out of the shadows. What have I missed? Besides everything, BZ juggled in, comic artist said, BZ juggled and threw knives around a very surprised goat. Absolutely correct. That's so sad. Phantom, you missed some of the best parts. You missed one of the best parts with like Sean, and you missed what happened with Merlin Queffel. And so I'm sorry. Spoiler alert, you missed it all. Just about everything. So very sad. DOJ opens grand jury investigation into Letitia James tied to the Trump civil case. Now, we're not going to spend much time on this, but keep that in the back of your mind in terms of your own very personal tickler file. And let's continue, because I'm going to try to see if I can get to the most of
Sam
the
Antar,
bulk of these. Let me pull that back up here a little bit, because this happens to be a great video. 4 minutes. Yeah, I think I can get to this before the break. Okay, so there's a guy who is a forensic accountant, and he went into and did a deep dive forensically on the person that I just mentioned, Letitia James. Well, what happened? What did he find? Well, he's a forensic accountant. That's his job, to find that shit.
Sam Antar, a forensic accountant, and he is the guy who dug up all the dirt for Tish James in the alleged mortgage fraud case, which is also being investigated. Sam, what's going on, man? Good to see you tonight.
Good to see you tonight.
Okay, well, how it's come full circle. I remember when we were sitting right across from each other first talking about all this.
Thank you.
And now it's on the desk of the DOJ. Walk us through this case again. And
well, first of all, this is not a political case with Trump. I don't give a damn about Trump. I uncovered documents that prove fraud over a period of 20 years. Also, Joe Lewis, another researcher, has uncovered documents himself too. Basically, what she did was she had a 5-unit building in Brooklyn. Okay, the certificate of occupancy said 5 units.
Okay, did you understand or hear the predicating statement about this? I don't give a damn about Trump. I just went on a deep dive.
That's on her mortgages, he listed it as 4 units, which got a better mortgage rates, better mortgage rates, lower down payments, lower interest rates, and also, as Joe Gilbert himself uncovered, she used it to qualify for a federal HAMP assistance for distressed homeowners, and she falsified that too. So 5 units is the certificate of occupancy. 4 units are her mortgage documents. Fraud. Period.
Clearly,
13.
Yeah, it was clearly there's something
10
to it.
mortgage documents. Okay.
Yeah.
Donald Trump didn't put her didn't put her signature on those documents. I didn't put her signatures on the documents. The Justice Department didn't put her signatures on those documents. She put her signatures. Didn't put her signature
let me go
on those
back here
documents.
to the graphic. Read this. Letitia James, mortgage fraud. She said a Brooklyn apartment was a 4-unit property. Official records say it's a 5-unit property. That enabled her to save tens of thousands of dollars annually. If that isn't fraud, I don't know what is. And if they made that a Trump issue, it's definitely a Letitia James issue. Go.
Documents. She put her signatures on those documents. Then you got a Virginia property where
Talk about that next. Yeah, so she's got this second home down in Virginia. She claimed it as her primary residence, according to what you were saying, while she was serving as the AG of the state of New York. Funny thing is, you can't say you live in Virginia and serve in that office, correct? Talk about it.
She said that she intended to make Virginia her primary residence. A couple of weeks after she said that it wasn't going to be a primary residence. The mortgage closed based on those terms. It's a recorded document. Again, it's fraud, period. Okay. Documents are not political. Signatures are not political. Fraud is fraud, and fraud isn't political.
Talk about the fact that she's saying that this is the weaponization of the government against her.
Okay, stop. Isn't that rich? Isn't that amazingly rich? It's the weaponization of the government against her, which is exactly what Trump said when the government did that against him. 32 counts by her and Brooks. How bizarre. It's funny when other personnel are hoisted on the petard of their own creation, and then they begin to squeal like piggies about that. Isn't that amazing? When I talk about stuff, I always say, hate Trump, love Trump. I don't care. I follow facts, not opinions. Sadly, for many, Trump has been the target, and the coup is to overthrow your rights. Exactly. And as Trump has said many, many times, they're after me, but in truth, they are after you. And they're going to get there by way of me. Government, big state, guaranteed. You are in the crosshairs. Trump is in the crosshairs. But by dint of Trump, you are also in the crosshairs as well. It speaks to him, it speaks to you, and it speaks to me. and everyone who believes in this country.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Listen in to the Reaver of Common Sense, where we cut through the noise of news and politics with a show equipped for bombast. Tune in Mondays and Fridays at 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central, and 6 p.m. Pacific, featuring a refreshing dose of reality. Jersey Joe fearlessly tackles the tough topics with no nonsense. Just pure common sense. Visit shrmedia.com, where you can hear the Reaver of Common Sense in action. He may not always be polite. He may not always be refined. But one thing's for sure. He always tells it like it is.
Are you looking for a way to boldly express your faith and love for your country? Then check out Seven Armors, the premier apparel company for patriotic men of God, where faith meets freedom in style. Our t-shirts are more than just clothing, they're statements. Bold, stylish, and meaningful. From timeless messages to modern designs, we've got something for every patriotic man of God. Wear your beliefs proudly with Seven Armors gear. Don't miss the chance to wear your faith and freedom on your sleeve. Visit 7armors.com today and join the movement. That's the number 7armors.com. 7armors.com. Faithful, vigilant, steadfast, passionate.
Are you looking for bold and honest conversation about the issues shaping America? Well, let me welcome you to Unleashed 101 with Jeremy Hansen, where we take you beyond the headlines. We dive into politics and culture, struggles of everyday life. It's raw, real, and unfiltered. If you're ready for truth with a punch, pull up a chair and join us. That's right, Unleashed 101, where real talk feels like home. Find us at unleashed101.com, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and more. We look forward to seeing you. Unleashed 101 with Jeremy Hansen.
Freedom. One nation in all of human history was built on that bedrock. Ours. A republic of the people, by the people, and for the people. Self-government requires freedom, just as freedom requires an individual willingness to self-govern. Freedom has made America exceptional, but it can only last as long as you and I seek the good, as expressed by the laws of nature and nature's God. It can only last if you and I choose to act as people of character. Forging character has been the pursuit of Hillsdale College since 1844.
You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
The final half hour of the show. A strange show, a bizarre show. One that is, it has come from my heart. One that did not start off very well in terms of my mouth making enough noise so you could understand what I was saying. It had weird things coming out. Look, that's my brain. That's the way it works. What you may have missed, and I said earlier, I asked this question. I said, I couldn't make it into this one Italian restaurant that I wanted to go in. They said, we got there at 4 and they said, sorry, nothing's open until 7 p.m. And we said very kindly, okay, we're leaving. Went to another restaurant and they had 3 specials. And I wanted you to weigh in on what you thought the special was that I got. And one of them was diced lark's tongues that were previously masticated. Did I have that? Also, penguin cacciatore. Did I have that? Or the sauteed bat groin. Did I have that in honor of Ozzy Osbourne? So I'll let you weigh in on that with chat. And also, we want to remind everybody, as you can see on the runner down below.
Folks, this is BZ's final hour. Step up, last call for alcohol.
And I'm not kidding. We're talking about stories. Here's another one, the final one that, are you guys even sure of this? Who does this? This is another in a continuing series of persons. Jersey Joe is saying good night. Thank you very kindly for being here, Jersey Joe, especially on a Saturday night, because right now it's about 12:34. It's midnight 34 where you are. So thank you, sir, for being here. Greatly appreciated. This is a color revolution. This is a guy named Norm Eisen, and he was an Obama lawyer, and he's admitting essentially to a color revolution right now. I'm not going to play the whole thing because I've got too many others to talk about, and because we're going to be going into happy stories here real soon. Go.
My organization, the State Democracy Defenders Fund, we were born out of the success in stopping the attempted coup of 2020. And I kind of got the people who I admired the most. I worked representing multiple parties fighting in court, but also in the court of public opinion in that unsuccessful effort to reverse the legitimate outcome of the 2020 election. I got the best people together who I thought were the toughest, the smartest, and who won a lot in 2020. And we added in building our organization. We started this immediately after. This work started on January 7th, this new work, 2021, right after the coup failed when the...
A coup. Now he's calling that a coup. And I'm sure that I'm not going to play the rest of this. There is no time, but the point is you get the point, is that the coup that occurred was that which happened from 2016, early 2016 on. When Trump said he was being wiretapped, that's an old term. I used to do wiretaps, okay? Now it's called surveillance. But Trump was right. Conspiracy theorists, tinfoil hat-wearing conspiracy theorists like myself, turned out to be absolutely correct. There was no coup on January 6th. This is deflection. This is a color revolution. This is continuing. This is ongoing. And it's not going to stop. It absolutely will not stop. Let me take this down. And I believe that if I'm not mistaken, we're ready to go into, this. Merlin.
It's time for
Thanks, Merlin.
Happy stories and good times.
Here's a happy story, and this is going to be happy stories for the rest of the show tonight. From the Texas Tribune, judge blocks Beto O'Rourke from financially supporting Texas Demorats who left the state. Now stop right here. This is the also important part. Here's my camera right here. There's a fly in the room. It just flew in front of this. So I want to see if I'm going to capture the fly on the camera. And if you see the fly on the camera, just let me know. Love my tinfoil hat. Hey, nobody weighed in as to what meal I had. And so I just want to tell everybody that, okay, I admit I had the penguin cacciatore tonight. Judge blocks Beto O'Rourke from financially supporting Texas Demorats who left the state. Now, this is lawfare, right? The order came at the request of Attorney General Ken Paxton, whom O'Rourke accused in a separate lawsuit of going on a fishing expedition. Constitutional rights be damned. So a judge said Beto O'Rourke, he wanted to grab, if you remember, he wanted to grab all your guns and said that if elected, that's the first thing that I'm coming for. He cannot financially support Texas Demorats who left the state to delay passage of new congressional map, a Tarrant County judge ruled Friday evening. And his group, and O'Rourke's group, powered by people, were sued by Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton and said the group was deceptively fundraising for and illegally helping support Texas Demorats, as they found out through Illinois, Massachusetts. Those people are called massholes, of course, and New York to deny the House the head count needed to pass legislation. So as far as I'm concerned, you know what? That is a very happy story, but don't think that it stops there. Not at all. Let's continue with this. And jobs, aluminum industry, aluminum producer to invest $50 million in American jobs as a direct result of the Trump tariffs. But wait, there's more. Donald Trump's 6 biggest wins at 200 days in office. Now, this particular author, Nick Gilbertson, says he believes the big, beautiful bill was the number one thing. The European trade union deal, I would agree with that. That is very important. This is what I believe is the most important. 0 illegal aliens admitted into the United States since April. The peacemaker in chief, that's number 4. Trillions of investment dollars pouring back into the United States of America, protecting women and children from the effects of trans ideology. And again, let me say this. I don't care who says, who censors me, whatever, couldn't care less. Trannies are mentally defectives. They're mentally defective units who want you and demand that you buy off on their fetishes. From anybody in the Air Force to military services to the people in your office. They are mentally defective, fucked up Jessies. And they don't deserve to be in a polite society. We are supporting fetishism by supporting them. If someone was self-harming with a knife on the sidewalk, would you support them, stand back and say simply, let them go, let them be who they are? That's who they are. That's their nature. Don't interfere. You might oppress them. That's just wrong. And it's just stupid. But now, of course, there are more happy stories. Here's another happy story. This is Canada, who decided that they were going to fuck around. And this is them finding out.
Statistics Canada has released the jobs report for July. And as Scott Peterson explains, the numbers are worse than economists anticipated.
Big disappointment. Economists were expecting job gains for July. Instead, we saw a loss of 41,000 positions. Outside of the pandemic, this is the largest loss going back about 7 years. And a lot of those positions were full-time jobs. And that's important because that is the bread and butter of the economy, people having full-time jobs. It symbolizes stability. And also, most of them were private sector jobs. And that's an important metric as well. But digging into these numbers, many younger people paid the price as well. Those between 15 and 24 years old, for example, that demographic lost 34,000 positions. Youth unemployment was up over 14%.
Okay, why would that be? That would be because last in, first out. No more complicated than that. This is the crux of the biscuit right here. And this is why Demorats demand, and this is why they fled Texas. They demand that illegal invaders be counted, because if this is the truth. If illegal invaders are not counted, Demorats stand to lose numerous seats in each state, particularly the biggest, the baddest, leftist blue states possible. If you can't count illegal invaders, many seats will leave. Trump orders work on new census, says people in the United States illegally will not be counted. Oh, that is guaranteed. That is going to the Supreme Court of the United States, because that is the fulcrum upon which Demorats acquire their numbers. and their votes. And they will scream and they will do anything and everything possible to make sure that redistricting doesn't occur and that illegal invaders are, in fact, counted in every census. Because if they are not, and when they lose power, they lose control. And when they lose control, they lose money. And then they lose everything. All power, all control. And so let's look at this. Oh, wrong one. Let me go to the next one here in just a moment. Because I have something very interesting to show you that you may not be aware of in terms of who and where in Texas. President Trump, this is Tom Cotton, who said that President Trump is right, that the last census made major errors, including undercounting the population of Arkansas. That's where Tom Cotton is. And what a coincidence that these errors always went in the same direction, helping Democrats. That's amazing. Let me also point this out because I've got a video coming that supports this. If Jasmine Crockett truly embodied Texas values, as she indicates and states, or even knew Texas history in the slightest, she'd know that the Texas Republican Party was founded in 1867 in Houston by 150 black Texans and 20 white allies. Their mission was to empower freedmen and register them to vote. And then here's a very unusual video that I can guarantee that is worth all the 4 minutes of this, that I can pretty much guarantee that you never have heard. This is about history. The Republican Party of Texas was indeed founded in 1867 by 150 black guys and 20 white guys.
Party of Texas was created in 1867, 4 through 6 July in Houston, Texas, by 150 colored men and 20 white men, because they believed in the justice and the echoes of Frederick Douglass. If you look at our party, for example, the person who was a senator who helped write, and his statue is on Texas A&M University, that's a colored man. He was a Texas senator. The first sheriff in the elected sheriff of the United States of America, Walter Moses Burton, who also became a senator and helped in education. The A&M system is because of a black Republican who signed it into law. So when you talk about the Republican concentration and contributions, 13th, 14th, 15th, and 19th Amendments were Republicans. People talk about LBJ and he signed the 1965 Voting Rights Act. Correct. Pull up the records and find out who voted for it. Republicans. So when you start looking at this, and the Freedmen Bureau, which was the predecessor of the HBCU, Historical Black College Universities, those were because of Republicans. So a party. So when you start looking at this, the first civil rights law that was passed into law and signed into law, Ulysses S. Grant, a Republican. The next time that happened was 1957, the year I was born, by Dwight David Eisenhower. When you look at who was the Brown versus Topeka Board of Education, Earl Warren, former governor, Republican of California, who was the Chief Justice of the U.S. Supreme Court. So when you start looking at the history of the Republican Party, from the great state of Texas and nationally, the Republican Party, contrary to belief, is not some party who voted suppressor. That was the Democratic Party. The military arm of the Democratic Party, the Ku Klux Klan, the Black Codes, the Jim Crow laws, those were governors, sheriffs, chiefs of police, mayors. The civil rights movement were fighting the Democratic Party. And we need to understand the histrionics of this. This is not made up. This is history. That's a fact. And I had to even say that to a state house hearing this past Friday in the great capital of the great state of Texas, in Austin, Texas. And here you have State Representative Milner asking a U.S. Congressman, did she read the opinion of the Pettigrew decision? She said, no, but I have an opinion.
And this is the opinion. This is Chaplain Rich Stoglin. This is Texas history. This is a clear reflection of the fact that people don't understand history. They don't understand what's going on. Here's another story. I want to get to some of the gerrymandering that's going on. Exclusive. Texas State Republican Brian Harrison. Elected Republicans had every tool they needed to stop Demorats from fleeing. What? What? Did you hear this? I hope I'm bringing a lot of information to you tonight that you have not previously heard. Excuse me for a moment. A little bit of a cough there. The quorum break never would have happened if Republicans did not allow it, State Representative Brian Harrison said during an appearance on Breitbart, discussing the challenges swirling around the redistricting efforts in the Lone Star State and the efforts to get Demorats back to do their jobs. The swamp establishment, special interest, gives them enough money every session to bombard their districts with flyers and mailers and radio ads talking about how, they're a Trump-supporting Republican MAGA conservative warriors. But the reality is they're actually Demorats, he says, saying that when he got elected, he discovered 30 Republicans in the Texas House were endorsed by Randy Weingarten and the teachers union. So again, this is information that I'm providing to you, indicating that some of the worst offenders of conservatism and the Constitution and the Bill of Rights are in fact Republicans. They're underminers. They are traitors. Let's go to this. I wanted to show you this. Okay. We said that Texas Demorats fled to Illinois. Okay. Here's Illinois. And they fled to this strange motel. They didn't go to an office building or, a DNC headquarters in Chicago. No, they went to this motel where until it was turned up, they knew that they wouldn't be found because they don't want to talk about it unless it's under their direct control and circumstances. Well, okay, let's look down here. Here's Missouri. Down here, here's Kentucky, Indiana on the right, Iowa up here, Wisconsin above. This is Illinois. Now look at all these little teeny districts, teeny weeny little districts that are nearest Chicago, which is, of course, the population core. And that's not gerrymandered much. What about this? Okay, this real strange little swath up here in blue goes down here. And wait until I show you the comparison between this and, say, 1970. And it goes down here, takes a turn here, makes a hard right over here, and then this little section right up here, like the esophagus, and it goes down here. No, that's not gerrymandered at all, is it, in Illinois? Of course not. Then there's this section right here that looks like someone's appendix, and it starts down here, and it goes in this little box right here, and then it takes kind of a hard right and this real thin, weird, hard right. Oh, but no, that's not gerrymandered, is it? Of course not. BZ, what the hell are you thinking? Until I put these up together and you begin to see and understand. This is 1970 Illinois. On the right, huge chunks of districts, except for the smaller ones in here near Chicago. As my law professor would have said, contrast and compare the two. Well, what it's indicating is that Illinois has already gerrymandered the living fuck out of the state, and so have all the rest of the blue states. There's not much true gerrymandering left to do. And so that they're complaining about something that they've been doing themselves in blue states for decades upon decades. Then this became, oh, wait, I need to remind you where it is that we are right now, right, Merlin?
It's time for happy stories and good times.
And that's where we are. Also, this is fun. Chicago area bomb threat causes AWOL Texas Demorat lawmakers to evacuate the hotel. So this was a Chicago area hotel where some of the Texas lawmakers who fled Texas were, let's see if I can get this over here and find out what the name of the hotel was. And I don't see it immediately. Oh, the Q Center, Hotel and Convention Center in St. Charles, Illinois. Well, that's kind of an interesting story. Well, they had a bomb threat. And then they pled, as I indicated before. I mentioned this. This is also part of a happy story I mentioned earlier of this. And then this is also interesting. Now, Maura Healey, Massachusetts Governor Maura Healey, making sure that she's part of the massholes, now has Republicans quaking in their boots. And they can't believe what's going on. They're shocked and astonished, and they're shaking and they're quaking. And so in response to the Texas legislature's move to redistrict its state to create more Republican district, Healey, the leftist Governor Maura Healey, is making a brave stand, and she is threatening revenge. She too will redistrict the state in retaliation, and it's going to be frightening. It's a frightening. In a state known for its fairness to Republicans, right? A change in attitude, a change in districts could have serious repercussions. And I mean serious repercussions. Merlin, I'm looking at you. Let me say it again. Serious repercussions. Thank you, Merlin. Currently, the state has 9 congressional districts and 9 Demorats representing them. Should a less favorable map be created and she redistricts everything, the state will have 9 congressional districts and 9 Demorats defending them. Now I think you understand why Republicans are truly quaking in their boots. Folks, this is how stupid all of this is. What do I got? I got about another 5 minutes. I'm good for a couple more stories because I love happy stories. And these are great stories. From the Financial Analyst, judge allows antitrust suit against BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street to proceed. Stop. Do you know, are you familiar with the names of BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street? They own everything. For those of you who just tuned in, they own everything. If you think that NBC owns everything, or that Union Pacific, which just absorbed Norfolk Southern, if you think they own everything, well, you're wrong. Who owns Union Pacific and who owns Comcast? It distills down to these 3 huge giants, these financial giants: BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street. So this judge has said that you can proceed with an antitrust lawsuit against these asset manager giants, and he denied motions to dismiss most of the claims. And again, this lawsuit, spearheaded by Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton and joined by 10 other Republican states, accuses the asset managers of violating antitrust laws by conspiring to manipulate coal markets throughout sustainable investment initiatives. Let me be even more truthful. They want to own everything. And they're halfway on their way there to owning everything. Here's another story that you may or may not have heard. Stop. Let me do this. The FBI never investigated evidence for Obama Attorney General's role in the Clinton mail cover-up. So what is the FBI? What I've said for years is the FBI is nothing more than the weaponized arm of the DNC and leftists. It is a corrupt, anti-American terrorist organization. It's nothing more than that. Now, this is from the Federalist. We now have plausible intelligence suggesting the Attorney General may have assured Clinton allies that the FBI investigation into Hillary's emails would go nowhere. This is collusion. You want collusion? Here it is. Loretta Lynch. And there's so much going on as I start almost every show with something similar to this, a statement like this. There's so much going on. How in the hell do you possibly keep track of all of these things? And, occasionally there are some wins. But I'll tell you the difference, and I'm going to have to wrap up the show after this. Now, the FBI will encounter some wins a time or two, and possibly some wins in the future. The FBI ousts the former acting director and the agent involved in J6 prosecutions, with more oustings expected. Now, let me go down here a little bit. There's Kash Patel. And there's Brian Driscoll. He's going to be serving as the acting director of the FBI. He was done on that on January 20th. But they're all quantifying this as retribution. So this guy right here that I just showed you, he was the former acting director, is among those being forced out of the Bureau. Sources familiar with the matter said, along with Walter Giardina, a special agent at the Bureau who played a role in the investigation of Trump trade advisor Peter Navarro and Stephen Jensen, and the acting director of the Washington Field Office. Now, when I was there, it was called the WMFO, the Washington Metro Field Office. Driscoll, for his part, served as acting director, and he played a key role in the January 6th investigation. So they're starting, Kash Patel, and I would hope also in concert with Deputy Director Dan Bongino, are starting to do what they can. But I will leave you with this. We're expecting a lot to occur with the appointments that Trump has made. But because I know how the Bureau is just one indicator of all of these things. I know how it functions. And there are a handful of people in Washington, in D.C., in the FBI building, and Comey and all those on Mahogany Row are up on the 7th floor. And they are acting as Sisyphus, to whom I referred earlier. And a handful of people, good men and women, are trying to take back the FBI from the deep state. But it's a constant fight, and it's a constant battle, and they are, I don't know how to say it other than they are so outnumbered. They are absolutely outnumbered. So that's it. That's the show. I had to get it out. Like Cat Stevens, I can't keep it in. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, thanks for listening to the strange but unusual but odd bonus Saturday night edition for somebody who had to dip a toe into the political cesspool because he didn't get his fill throughout the prior week. Thanks for being here. That anybody at all showed up, I find rather amazing, but those who did, God bless you. Thank you very, very much. And of course, as per normal, promotional consideration is by the Lockheed Martin Skunk Works, and also by my Shure and Electro Voice microphones by the Arrakis Corporation, who make my mixer, which happens to be, let me see if I can go right here, who is manipulated by this guy who doesn't like to have his picture placed in public, Merlin Queffel. And also Pratt & Whitney engines providing thrust you can trust. I will be consorting with my KC-135 Kettle One refueling team very, 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 very shortly. This is my updated glass cockpit. So everybody, God bless, take care, be safe. See you Tuesday night. Tuesday.
Quiet down now and get some sleep. Night, everybody. Night, Mama. Night, Ben. Good night, everyone.
Good night, Mama. Good night, Daddy.
Good night, children. Good night, Daddy. Good night, Elizabeth.
Good night, John Boy. Good night, Jim Bob. Good night, Jim Bob.
Good night, Jim Bob. What's going on? I was asleep. What's everybody doing? Good night,
Jim Bob.
Good night and good luck.
God bless you all. Take care. Thanks for being here.